Oh, hey there, boys and ghouls. Are you ready for a bedtime story? My name's Megan if you're new here, and if not, welcome back to Here She Lies, a terrifying horror podcast that will have you questioning everything you once held dear. Each week, we'll explore another heart-stopping tale of terror. Some of them are true, and others are just big fat fibs. It's up to you to decide which is which. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you're tuning in via your favourite podcast app, then feel free to leave a 5-star review. And don't forget to have your say in the comments box below or by heading over to our Instagram page at Here She Lies Podcast. Now, before we get into it, let's talk about last week's episode. Whiteout was the tale of a young couple who offered a strange man shelter from a treacherous snowstorm, only to uncover his murderous true intentions. Did this actually happen? Should you be very careful when following the rules of the mountain? Is the mysterious blizzard butcher still on the loose? Nah, 'cause he's not a real person. That's right, kiddies. Whilst I'm sure there are a few nut jobs living out in the White Mountain National Forest, our fictitious killer isn't one of them. Did I fool you? Did I have you all locking your doors? Well, good, because you should be doing that anyway. Go ahead and dry your eyes if you didn't guess correctly, because this week we move on to a new true story. Welcome, children, to episode 2 of Here She Lies. I call this one, You Better Watch Out.
911, what's your emergency?
You calling me a liar?
Oh my god, you coming? We are coming.
I'm sure we all recognise this guy. White beard, red suit with fur piping, and that unmistakable beer belly. And no, I'm not talking about your Uncle Bob after he's had a few shandies. The legend that is Santa Claus dates back to the 3rd century, allegedly based on the Turkish monk Saint Nicholas. Since that time, the jolly man known for sharing joy across the masses each December has been called many things. Old Saint Nick, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, Pierre Noel, and Kris Kringle, just to name a few. As the story goes, the elderly man, alongside his army of reindeer, travels the globe bringing love, laughter, but most importantly, presents. Children everywhere are instinctively drawn to the festive mascot, which is why it won't seem so surprising that in a 2017 survey, it was discovered that almost 50% of youngsters believe that the day of Christmas is actually a celebration of Santa's birthday. Another poll revealed that 1/3 of the kids interviewed recognised the image of Father Christmas immediately, but had no idea who Jesus Christ was. It seems like the big JC's PR team are failing miserably. Now, don't worry, we aren't here to discuss religion or whether Santa is real or not, because we all know that he definitely is. I just wanted to reiterate how influential the idea of him is, not just to children living in the Western world, but all around the globe. We've taught our little gremlins that the man from the Coke advert signifies nothing but happiness, gifts, and warmth. But the tragic fact is, each winter, some who put on that same crimson suit and beard are in truth nothing but pure evil. Predators, beasts, creeps, whatever you want to call them. These men take one of the most significant icons of childhood innocence and use it to make their twisted desires more accessible. And sadly, on the morning of December 9th, 2009, 12-year-old Nia Malcolm was followed to school by one such man. Nia had lived in Parma, a southern suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, her whole life. And each morning at 7:30 a.m., the 6th grader would set off on the 20-minute walk to school. The streets were always pretty busy at that time with commuters and fellow students, so Nia's parents never worried about their daughter's safety. Until it happened. It was the second week in December, and the weather outside had taken a turn for the worst. It was wet, miserable, and that coming weekend the temperature was set to plummet to a frosty -9 degrees Celsius. That particular morning, Nia noticed that there were less people on the aptly named Snow Road, probably because of the adverse conditions. It was dark and far more isolated than she was used to, and something told Nia to quicken her pace. The quiet suburban path was half beautiful, half spooky, with just a few Christmas lights and icy windows to light her way. Normally, Nia would walk to school with a couple of friends, but the winter chill had left most of her classmates battling a nasty bout of the flu. So this week she would have to bundle up and go alone. Nia's father, Lionel, had offered to give her a lift to school, but she declined, stating in typical dramatic preteen fashion that she needed some time to herself. However, as the sleet whipped her face and the wind howled in every direction, she was slowly starting to regret that decision. Trying to distract herself from the feeling of impending doom she was now experiencing, Nia began thinking about her family's upcoming Christmas celebrations. Most of her relatives lived out of state, and it was nice to have them all together, even if just for the weekend. Nia was the baby of the family, you see, and with her 2 elder brothers now away at college, it meant that home felt pretty lonely at times. Were her wealthy teenage cousins a tad obnoxious? A little bit. But after months of playing the only child, Nia was excited to have a full house once again. This year, however, was set to be extra special because this year she'd asked Santa for a mobile phone. And even though she'd been relentlessly begging for one since last Christmas, she had a feeling her parents had finally caved. She recalled that bitter disappointment when opening up her final present in front of the tree last December. It was so unfair. Most, if not all of her friends, had their own phones, and Nia felt well and truly left out. At lunch, she would sit there in silence as they all huddled together, sending smiley faces to one another on BBM. In this day and age, it was borderline cruel to not give your kid a phone, Nia thought to herself before turning the corner onto the next street. A cold gust followed her, knocking her back. In hindsight, it was almost like a forceful warning from Mother Nature herself, because as Nia rounded that bend, she noticed a large bush up ahead, shaking violently. Initially, it seemed like nothing, just a shrub being battered by the wind. But as she drew closer, she picked up a faint noise, almost like the sound of bells jingling. Nia was getting the chills now, and it had nothing to do with the weather. As she warily approached the bush at the end of the road, she began to see the shape of a fully grown human emerge from the darkness. Coming towards her was a man dressed in a dishevelled Santa costume. In his hand, he held a box of candy canes, which he thrust out at her. Filled with terror, Nia body swerved the man and began speedily walking towards the nearby shopping plaza. It wasn't 8 a.m. yet, so even if she could outrun this freak, there were no guarantees that someone would be on duty to help her. A million possible scenarios flooded her young mind. She was thinking thoughts that no 12-year-old girl should ever have to think. The fear was palpable. She could practically feel its force around her chest. her breathing now loud and laboured. She was practically jogging, but the man's footsteps echoed close behind. Looking at the bright Christmas display lights in the shopping plaza, Nia knew that freedom was within her grasp. She pushed through the bitter cold, the icy whip of air almost slapping her now. Almost there, but her thoughts were abruptly interrupted by a strange sound from behind. It was those bells again. As she turned her head to see what the hell this guy was up to, she almost choked. There, just a few meters away, was this same dude in his Santa suit. Only now he was riding a unicycle. Nia had never liked the circus, and this image that would be forever etched into her mind even had her questioning her own reason for a second. Was she dreaming? Was this a sick nightmare she would soon wake up from with the smell of bacon and eggs wafting from downstairs? No. The fake Santa lurched forward, grabbing Nia's forearm, proving that she was very much wide awake. He pulled at her forcibly, and she pulled back, screaming at him to let her go. He was stronger than her, much stronger, so with everything she had, she gave her arm one final hard tug. By some miracle, she was free now, darting towards the shops nearby. She managed to run into a random store, yelling that she'd just been attacked by Santa. The shop owner, a kind young man, offered Nia a seat in the back, and although dubious of her tale at first, promptly called 911. Whilst retelling her story at the local sheriff's office, Nia could tell they didn't completely believe her right away, and to be honest, she couldn't blame them. I mean, come on, a Santa Claus hiding in the bushes and riding a unicycle? It all sounds pretty far-fetched, and officers were wondering if this had been some sort of Christmas prank gone wrong. That was until they discovered a 46-year-old homeless man matching Nia's description, travelling on a local bus service. And what was he carrying? Just a large Santa sack, a box of candy canes, but most importantly, a silver unicycle with Jingle Balls wrapped around the seat. The creeper with sinister intentions was arrested and charged with kidnapping, abduction and child enticement. And 12-year-old little Nia Malcolm never walked home alone again. Yes, most little ones would follow Santa Claus almost anywhere. But, unluckily for this imposter, he came up against a non-believer. So kiddies, the next time you see a chubby man in a big red suit, just remember, you better watch out. The end. Ooh, that one really put the lump of coal in my stocking. And poor little Nia, she must have been so terrified. Or maybe she wasn't, because maybe she doesn't exist. What do you guys think? Is it Megan True Crime or Megan False Crime? Do you think you've got this week sussed? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Don't forget to have your say in the comments box below or over on our most recent post on Instagram at Here She Lies Podcast. Catch our weekly episodes on YouTube or over on Spotify. And if you're a true crime fan, then tune in to our true crime podcast, Killer Weekend. It's that time of night where we got on to the business of last week's game of Two Truths and a Lie. Now, if you don't remember, I told you that 1, my nickname in high school was Ronaldinho. 2, I've never tried salmon in my life. And 3, I have a fairy tattooed on my butt cheek. Drum roll, please. You may be shocked to know that the lie was, I haven't got a fairy tattooed on my bum. Yup, I have many tasteless tattoos, but that isn't one of them. Embarrassingly, I have never tried salmon. It just gives me the creeps. I don't like it. I don't like the smell of it, so I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like the taste, okay? And indeed, thanks to a gorgeous set of buck teeth, my nickname in high school was indeed Ronaldinho, along with Bugsy Malone, Ronaldo, and What's Up Doc. Yes, Kids can be cruel little bastards, I know. Anywho, before we say farewell and head to bed, I have another one for you. So let's see if you can guess this one right. 1. I have a pet goldfish called Stevie after Stevie Nicks. 2. I have a phobia of dolls. And 3. I used to be a professional singer. On that deceitful note, I bid you adieu. Find out next week if it was false or if it was true. Good night.
911, what's your emergency?
You calling me a liar?
Oh my god, you coming? We are coming.